Today, we're going to discuss the funniest timeline I've been following for the last week or two. And that is the timeline of Tim Dillon posting that he was in the new Joker movie, to him realizing it bombed, and then him just trashing it publicly on every platform he can.
It's so bad, it's not even bad good. You can't hate watch it. It's peculiar. It has no value to anyone. It is a $300 million mistake.
Okay.
What a fun story arc. Let's see if there's more to it than just textbook self-sabotage. I'd first like to thank the executive producer of this episode, David Finkel. If it weren't for David Finkel, I'd probably be starting a vitamin/food supplement company. Because I don't know if you know this, but the FDA doesn't make food and supplements follow the same protocols as drug companies. They make them follow the same protocols that food companies have to follow. So as long as everything's done just in a clean environment, I could put whatever I want in those supplements. And I'll be making vitamin D and stuffing it with a lot of caffeine and crack. That's right, I'm bringing crack back. There's honestly really nothing they can do about it. And I'll be selling the most addictive vitamin D on the market. Forget about the crack epidemic in the 80s. I'm starting a new one, and it's gonna be bigger and better. Or at least I would, if I didn't have the big baller support of my executive producer, David Finkel. Because of him, I don't have to do that. And if you'd like to become a big baller supporter of the show, you can click the Patreon link in the description below. Welcome to Catching You Up With
Nadav, it's COVID.
Now's a good time to remind you to comment, like, and subscribe. It all helps the algorithm. So about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, I saw Tim Dillon just post movie art from the new Joker movie, and I thought, oh, cool, Tim's in this movie. That's rad. Oh, I can't wait to see it. And that makes sense. I remember Todd Phillips just being really into comedy and stand-up comedians. It's always so interesting to me that Todd Phillips made the movie The Joker, but also old school. In fact, he literally is this guy.
Hello. Yeah. I'm here for the gangbang.
But I guess what's fascinating to me is people that excel in comedy have a surprisingly strong muscle for drama. Robin Williams comes to mind. Adam Sandler kind of crushes most of the dramatic roles I've seen him in. Marc Maron's fantastic. So it was surprising to me that the first movie did so well. And then I saw an article, I was fumbling around on Reddit or something. And it just said that the Rotten Tomatoes score for the new Joker movie is just in complete freefall. Then I see Tim Dillon post this within a day or two of me seeing that. He posted an article from the Rolling Stone where the headline is, Joker has a message for fans. Go fuck yourselves. And Tim posted that with the caption, really exciting to be part of something so special. Very interesting way to promote the film. Now, I will say that, films of this magnitude don't really depend on the help of people that have cameo roles in the film, but what's Tim doing here? Now, granted, I'm not going to say that, Tim trashing the movie is going to, do well for it or do poorly for it, because I remember Sam Morril and Marc Maron making the rounds just talking about how nice it was to be on there, and I don't think any of those interviews were stuff that sold people to go see the first Joker movie. I think that would have been a smash hit regardless of those interviews. But then I see Tim Dillon go on Annie Lederman's podcast, Welcome to Anniewood, and just trashes everything about the film. Here's how he opened the episode. This was the first couple seconds of it.
We got Netflix's The Joker's Tim Dillon, everybody.
Let me tell you how bad Joker 2 is.
I'm pissed I didn't see it.
Let me tell you how bad
Tell
it
us.
is, okay? It is being called, credibly, potentially the worst film ever made.
Wow. Now there's a lot of song
I want to
and
thank
dance.
CAA. I want to thank my agents. I couldn't have done this without you, Justin, Jacob, JB, Rachel, Steve, the whole crew.
He's just amplifying everything that the critics are saying about it.
I saw it and I quickly realized that this was one of the top disasters
Yes.
that has ever been. Like, I'm part of something that
That's kind of cool.
it's really cool, actually. It's one of the greatest failures of anyone in entertainment
gonna
at
be
any
like-
time.
He then goes on to make the movie as unappetizing as possible for moviegoers.
It's so bad, it's not even bad good. You can't hate watch it. It's peculiar. It has no value to anyone. It is a $300 million mistake.
Okay.
I really don't think I've seen a bigger stamp of unapproval than this.
Joaquin would there'd be a scene where he would start singing he's like, for once in my life, I have someone who needs me.
And you're in the scene,
And we're in the back going, what the hell's going on? We go, this is going to be a bad movie. Really
and so
bad.
it's like a musical?
It's a musical.
Okay, I
But
feel
it's not
betrayed.
even a musical.
doesn't
There's
commit.
not really original song. It's crazy.
And I saw this appearance, and although it was funny as hell, I'm thinking to myself, Timmy, what the fuck are you doing, man? What's the goal here? Are you not trying to be in another movie ever again?
And
Bad.
you told us not to even hate watch it.
You can go see it. Obviously, I'm never going to tell you not to see it,
Yeah.
but it is confusing.
So
It's actually confusing.
So it's not going to make money.
You actually sit there and you go, huh,
Yeah. And who's
why are they doing that?
I know almost every comedian wants to be an actor. It's just so jarring to hear that this is his take and that he's the only voice that's really saying this stuff that's actually involved in the film.
By the way, you know what's crazy? I'm not important in this film, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But I have a jihad-like vendetta. I think you shouldn't do this, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. No one cares. This might have been like a money laundering thing.
A few days later, Tim releases an episode of his own podcast, The Tim Dillon Show, and opens it with this.
I mean, when I was on set at Joker, it's rare that you know how bad something's going to be. And I would talk with the other actors and we'd go, we don't get it. Because you'd sit there and then every now and then you would see Joaquin Phoenix, who's one of the greatest actors of our time, singing or doing jazz hands, and you'd go, I don't know how this is gonna play. But you go, don't question the guy. He's a legend, the filmmaker, whatever that means anymore. Whatever anything means, by the way. No offense to anyone. I love everyone. And I'm grateful. That's the thing about me. I'm grateful.
He brings up perhaps one of the best ways he can think of to improve the watching experience of the new Joker movie.
Where people are walking out of this film. I saw it in Laguna Beach. I was in California with COVID, and I went to go see it. And that's how you should see it. If you can see it with COVID.
And then he really just trashes Lady Gaga. And rightfully so. She does suck at acting.
Lady Gaga is not a good actress, and I say it as she's a colleague of mine, and I'm going to say it. I'm sorry, my fans expect me to be honest now. I'm going to be honest now, and this may damage me in the business. I might not be in the second to worst film. I was in the worst film ever made. So the CAA may call me and go, don't you want to be in the second worst film ever made? We got a great idea. Todd Phillips is making October 7th the musical. You want to do a line in that? That makes more sense. At least there was music at October 7th.
But some of the stuff that Tim Dillon is saying here, although it's hilarious, I know there's going to be at some point in the future where Tim is being considered for a role unbeknownst to him, or maybe beknownst to him. And some casting executive is just going to look up, you know what? Wasn't Tim in the Joker 2? Let me just Google Tim Dillon Joker 2. And then some clip like this is going to come up.
But it's changed my life in many ways, being in the worst film ever made, being in the death of a popular, franchise?
And the casting director is going to go what the fuck? No, we're not casting this guy in this movie. Why? Here's the most positive thing I've seen him say about working on this film.
I would turn to my friend Jimmy, who was one of the guards, and I'd go, what is happening? And he'd go, this is not going to be good. And we'd have great lunches every day because it's a $300 million budget. The lunches were, I mean...
He goes on to acknowledge the first film in that it was good, but with an extremely backhanded comment.
The reason the first one was so good is that it captured kind of the nihilism and anger rising in the culture. Whether it was or wasn't a ripoff of Taxi Driver is not important at this point. It doesn't matter.
And here's what a version of that looks like when a comedian, might have some opinions on the movie that they're in, but isn't trying to just completely nuke their acting career. And that's when Marc Maron went on The Fighter and the Kid to talk with Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen, who was also in the original Joker movie.
That's a masterpiece, that movie, didn't you think? Or what did you think of the movie?
I thought that, there was a couple of things I would have done differently. It would have been better, I think, if we sympathized with his character more before he goes bad. I think there was something odd about... Like Lynn, who's the director, my girlfriend, she said, if they had just had one scene at the beginning of the movie of him actually entertaining children.
Him being, yeah, that makes sense.
Do you know,
it was so heavy to me. It was
heavy.
It was
so
almost
heavy.
over the top.
Yeah.
And now contrast that with how Tim Dillon talks about being involved in Joker 2.
It's the biggest Hollywood bomb of the year. That's not nothing. Timmy Boy is in the biggest Hollywood bomb of the year.
And I think the takeaway here is that Tim just refuses to quietly accept the movie that took a month of his life is just tanking in the box office and letting it go unaddressed. He's not letting people talk shit about it when he's not in the room. He's leading the conversation about it. Now, I will say that as funny as Tim is, and as flavorful as this self-sabotage appears to be, this is actually a very strong public stance to take that's in line with his brand. And I know, what a gross thing to say. Oh, this is good for the brand. Think of the brand. This is really in line with his brand. But it is. Might this prevent him from getting more prestigious movie roles in the future? Of course. But can you also argue that this story arc gives Tim a whole bunch of juicy talking points to talk about on his podcast, which arguably is the pirate ship that allowed his tides to raise to the point that they're at now? Also, yes. I'll make this metaphor. Imagine Tim Dillon is pregnant with twins. One of those babies in his stomach is his podcast, The Tim Dillon Show. And the other baby is his cameo role in the new Joker movie. One of those babies is stronger than the other. And if it decides to eat the weaker baby inside the womb to become stronger, that's just something that, makes sense in this animal kingdom that we live in. Instead of giving birth to a semi-strong baby and a super weak baby, just let the semi-strong baby eat the weak baby, and at birth, it's now a super strong baby. Let the super strong baby become super strong. That's a wild analogy, but I saw it in an episode of House one time, I think, and I'm pretty sure you know what I'm trying to say. Tim is just weighing out which vehicle is going to get him to the finish line that he wants to be at, and how much is he going to be able to touch the steering wheel on the way there? And the answer to that question is clearly his podcast. No one tells him what to say or how to say it on there. It's 100% in his control, and it's doing well for him.
A lot of people fail quietly. This is a massive, big budget, blowout failure. And I am involved. And I'm proud of that. Here's how bad this film is. I cannot show this to anyone ever.
If he wants to nuke his acting career, shit on everyone who helped him get acting roles, but in the same breath gain a deeper loyalty from his audience with his self-deprecating honesty, that's kind of a move that I understand. And it's a way to take control of a situation that you don't have control of. You can't control if a movie that you're in comes out good or not. Not when you have a cameo. I mean, Tim tried, allegedly.
I had a lot of suggestions on that set, and nobody listened to me because I was an unimportant nobody. But you know what? Sometimes you listen to the nobody. I said immediately, fire Lady Gaga. Fire her. Fire her right now. You're paying her a lot of money, and what I'm seeing ain't working. Get her out of here. Get her out of here. I said that at the pasta truck a lot of times. Get her out of here.
On the surface, this seems like extremely reckless behavior. And although that can still be true, I think this is a lot more calculated than you'd think. Either way, regardless of strategy, it's just a fun ride to watch. Will Tim Dillon ever act again? Who knows? Is he still churning out podcasts on a regular basis that people want to watch? Sure. And that's bringing in money every episode via ad reads, sponsors, and selling tickets on the road for him. So yeah, even though this might seem like a publicly bad move for him, his pirate ship is still floating in the water. It's not sinking as far as I can tell, but he's putting his eggs in the right basket. I'd like to say thank you for watching another episode of Catching You Up with
Nadav. It's COVID.
It's been a very fun episode for me, and I'd like to thank everyone that you're seeing on screen right now. They're all the producers of this show, and without their help, it'd be hard to put this out as consistently and as regularly as I do. And if you'd like to become a producer of the show, you could go ahead and click the Patreon link in the description below. Thank you, everyone, for a very fun episode, but most importantly, I'd like to reaffirm
This is a totally unconfirmed news.
See you next week.